Something strange is happening on the far right in Britain.
I can honestly say that I'd take 1 million Poles into this country before I took one Muslim.
Polish immigrants used to be the targets of racism. Now they're swelling the ranks of British nationalist groups.
Well, we've got a lot of international friends here. We've got friends from Poland. You can see them here.
Far-right speakers from Poland are now coming to the UK to hold meetings with the Polish community.
Prawdziwą bombę biologiczną, jaką jest właśnie ta etniczna zmiana naszego kontynentu.
Leading some observers to fear the consequences.
It's an avenue by which they inject their intolerance, their bigotry and their prejudice into these communities.
Dla mnie jakby pedofilia to jest jakby chleb powszedni.
Slough, November 2017. Several hundred Poles come to attend an event billed as a book fair. But some speakers are not interested in discussing great works of Polish literature.
Ksiądz Jarosław Wąsowicz, jeden z moich przedmówców, mówił o tym, że Europa przetrwa jako kontynent, ale czy przetrwa jako siedlisko białego człowieka?
I myślę, że ten wyraz jest kluczem, walka. To nas czeka, jeśli chcemy przetrwać.
Many of those on stage are the new breed of far-right personalities in Poland. Among them is Marcin Rola, the moderator of the discussion. He runs a Polish internet TV station called Roehampton, which has over 140,000 subscribers.
Słuchaj, powstały specjalne toalety dla imigrantów, nachodźców, bo oni się, wiesz...
On it, he and his guests share their views on ethnic and religious minorities.
Toalet, no bo wiesz, w tych lepiankach z gówien to wiadomo, że tam wyszło się na pole albo na pustynię i heja, tak?
What's unusual about the Slough Book Fair is one of its sponsors, the Polish Embassy. Despite the extreme views of Marcin Rola and other speakers, it was happy to feature its logo on the poster. Some of the money provided by the embassy covered Marcin Rola's accommodation in the UK.
So the current government...
Michal Garapich has been studying Polish migration to the UK for over a decade.
I mean, there are definitely more Polish Jehovah's Witnesses or Polish members of AA groups than there are these far-right nationalists who organize themselves. But they have a momentum now. They are emboldened. They are more assertive.
Why do you think that is? What is it that's changed that's made them feel emboldened?
Well, I guess this is the change of government in the last 2 years in Poland. So giving space to that nationalist, very simplistic black and white vision of history of Poland, which gave nationalist, far-right, sometimes fascist group quite a lot of political oxygen, public exposure, but also access to public fund.
There are increasing concerns about the treatment of ethnic and religious minorities in Poland. Poland's Never Again Association says hate crime and hate speech are on the up. They currently record an average of 5 incidents a day, compared to 5 a week in 2014. Back in Britain, a Polish community fun run in Slough in February last year. It was organised by members of the far-right Polska Niepodległa group, but they're not handing out orange slices. It's a chance to run a 5K and try a replica gun on for size. Community events like this are understandably worrying anti-extremism campaigners.
Of real concern is what we would call entryism, that is, trying to get into settled communities of Polish heritage in places like Manchester, certainly London, and around areas in Cambridge, and in effect getting their views an air of respectability by entering into these communities and holding fun days, picnic days, events. And so this entryism is deeply worrying because it's an avenue by which they inject their intolerance, their bigotry and their prejudice into these communities.
Over the last few years, a number of far-right Polish figures have entered the UK.
But some are considered so extreme by the British government, they've been stopped at the UK border, but sometimes without success.
It's been reported that following consular intervention by the Polish embassy, a number were then let in. The embassy says that part of its role is to help all Polish citizens.
Ojciec i Syn i Duch Święty.
Others were less lucky.
Amen. Amen! Amen!
Jacek Miedler is a former priest who's well known in Poland for preaching hate against Jews and Muslims. He was prevented from entering the UK twice last year.
Jesteśmy wojownikami Wielkiej Polski.
At Stansted in February when he tried to attend the Slough Fun Run, and again in June when he was heading to an anti-Muslim Britain First rally in Birmingham.
Duma! Narodowa duma!
Marcin Rola przeszedł granicę, proszę państwa.
Earlier this month, Marcin Rola came back to the UK.
Wstyd się przyznać, że nawet nas nie przefiskali zbytnio, słuchajcie.
This time to moderate another debate at an event billed as a family book fair in Leeds. On this occasion, the embassy isn't sponsoring the event, which is being held in a local Polish Catholic centre. But it's organised by the same people, and Marcin Rola is going to be there. So we thought we'd come along to ask Mr. Rola about some of the things he's said on his TV show.
Z naszych pytań dostałem informację, że jest na sali, przyszła do nas telewizja BBC, dlatego serdecznie tutaj witamy Marcin Rola, nisko zniszczonej telewizji.
Thank you so much. Dzień dobry. There is a petition that was started by people within the Polish community asking to stop this event because they say that some of your speeches incite hatred and violence.
Że moje, tak?
Speeches of some of the people that attend this event.
W Polsce mamy masę różnych wszelakich agentów wpływu z obcym kapitałem, które bezpośrednio plują także i oszukują, bo tutaj odnośnie panów, którzy są na scenie. Ja proponuję, żebyśmy się może po debacie umówili na wywiad, dobrze? Jakie prawa na to jest?
In the meantime, we catch up with the head of the Polish Centre, where the event is being held. She tells us about the centre's good community relations with the Muslim school across the road.
Some of the things that Mr. Rola has said before, like Muslims are invaders, Muslims are savages. I mean, were you worried about this event?
No, if I was worried, he would never have this space. And they are talking about not about the Muslims. They know that they weren't allowed to talk about the English politics because simply they don't know much about this because they all came from Poland, right?
But when we speak to him, Marcin Rola defends his rhetoric.
Nie ma mowy do nawoływania do żadnej nienawiści. My nigdy nie nawoływaliśmy do nienawiści. Jeżeli już, to nawołujemy do debaty.
So some of the things that you've said in your TV channel that I've watched myself, like immigrants are invaders or Muslims are rapists, Muslims are savages, the Quran allows for raping babies, Muslims are pedophiles. You don't think that's inciting hate?
I to są takie, wie Pani, wycięte z kontekstu różne wypowiedzi. Odnosiłem się bezpośrednio do przykładów pewnych, bo też nie wrzucam wszystkich jakby do jednego wora i nie mówię, o, wszyscy muzułmanie to są na przykład pedofile. Nigdy czegoś takiego nie powiedziałem. No nie oszukujmy się, ale przecież jak do Europy Zachodniej przyszli imigranci, no to przecież wzrosły statystycznie także ataki to w Berlinie czy Nicei. No to są niestety fakty, no to sobie tego ja nie wymyśliłem. I to było...
Let's watch the video together. Because I want to understand the context in which you said some of the things you said.
W islamie jakby pedofilia to jest jakby chleb powszedni, więc tutaj nie mamy, wiecie, w tej doktrynie politycznej, bo islam to nie jest religia, no każde dziecko to chyba wie, więc pedofilia jest normalna, te wszystkie małżeństwa, sprzedawanie kobiet za kozę, za świnie i tak dalej, znaczy za świnie nie, bo to w islamie wiadomo.
Speaker's Corner jest opanowany przez muzułmanów, oni tam często odprawiają swoje modły.
To moment, to tam na Speaker's Corner pozwalają tym dzikusom przychodzić i na tych swoich latających dywanach, żeby tam się wydziczali?
Tak.
No to jest kpina jakaś.
No to jest Wielka Brytania.
To jest, kochany, się w głowie nie mieści.
So tell me about the context.
Kontekst tej wypowiedzi. Nie wiem, czy Pani widziała wielokrotnie dokumenty, bo islam także islamowi nierówno. Mamy różne odłamie, także szczepy islamu, gdzie przecież wprost oni sprzedają na przykład kobiety za, nie wiem, krowę, czy za jakieś inne zwierzę, za kozę. Więc ja to tylko tutaj odniosłem się bezpośrednio do tych faktów. Co do słowa dzikusy, jakie tutaj zawarłem, to jednak zawarłem to w kontekście tego grooming gang. Może faktycznie to było gdzieś troszkę zbyt mocne, ale no, odnosiło się jednak do patologii, więc w tym przypadku uważam, że to było zasadne.
There's no suggestion that all the people attending events like those in Leeds or Slough agree with views like Mr. Rola's. but that doesn't make his presence in the UK and of others like him any less worrying.
Getting into communities, doing community-based functions and events. And let's call it what it is. It's a form of radicalization. We talk about radicalization coming from IS and much more violent groups, but the process is similar. If you work towards being helpful in communities, you attract people to you. It's the same process.
I wouldn't be shocked if in, let's say, in 10 years, some of these teenagers or kids who go to these events might get radicalized and might turn into some version of Polish-British Breivik, the Norwegian mass killer.
The Polish embassy has told us that it has a duty to help Polish citizens whenever they request assistance. It also said that it finances events like the book fair in Slough only after careful assessment by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.